Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to iTouch App Reviewers. In this video, I have a super important video for you guys. We're going to be going over the brand new MacBook Pros that Apple just released. So this is kind of a buyer's guide video. I know that there are other ones on YouTube, and we've done these in the past, and some people love these and some people hate them because they say, hey, you're not actually showing the product. Well, just so you know, the product's not out, and I'm going to help you make an informed decision on which one you should get and help you weigh the pros and cons. And yes, I put my money where my mouth is. I bought one of these. I'll tell you which one I bought right after this. This video is brought to you today by Ghosttags. This is my own company that I started to sell AirTag cases at an affordable price with a unique feature set. So these cases come in two different colors. They're both only $12.99. Here's what they look like in the dark. I actually took this photo from my iPhone. They glow very bright. They're great for putting on your dog's collar if you have an AirTag on your dog. Personally, have one on my backpack and it makes it super easy to spot in low light conditions. They're super durable. You can rinse them. Go check them out. Links down below. All right, so let's get back into this. MacBook Pro, brand new. Apple's event yesterday was actually pretty good. I wasn't sure what to expect, but it was really good. So available starting 10/26. So on October 26th, you can walk into an Apple store and pick one of these up. Now they've got three different ones in the lineup here for the MacBook Pro. They've got the base model 13-inch, which, by the way, I don't recommend for most professionals. It is super fast with the M1 chip, but again, that's last year's hardware. And I think a lot of the pros should gravitate more towards these. So this is kind of in an odd position because the MacBook Air is in such a good position for average consumers. This is what I recommend to almost everyone. Everyone who's like, hey, I want a Mac, what should I get? I say, check out the MacBook Air, go to a store, try one out. I think you're gonna love it. So far, everyone that I know that has one of these loves it. So this MacBook Pro right here is actually in a bad position. I don't think it's going to get many sales. Reason being, it's very similar to the MacBook Air, but it's $300 more. So pros and cons here, but let's take this one out of the equation. Let's go straight to the 14-inch and the 16-inch, and let's go over the different specs and what you can expect from these MacBook Pros. So I'm not going to scroll through all of this because this is just a bunch of marketing fluff. I'm going to go straight to the order page to show you guys the price differences and the spec differences and point out some things that you probably didn't know about. So again, we're skipping this 13-inch because, in my opinion, it doesn't make sense for a professional to be buying that one in this day and age. With these new 14 and 16 inches, these are just so much better for professionals. If you're an average consumer and you just want to step up to a pro, okay, fine. The 13-inch might work for you, but I would recommend you check out the Air first. It's very similar. So here we go with the new MacBook Pros with the M1 Pro chip. With the 14-inch, the base model configurations only show the M1 Pro chip, but you can configure it with the Max chip. I'll show you that in a second. It's base model here. If you just want it out the box, it's $2,000, which is pretty respectable. I mean, that's not terrible. 8-core CPU, 14-core GPU, which just sounds crazy, even for a base model. 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of SSD storage. But then if you want to step up to the 10-core, that's another $500. However, if you look closely, you're also getting half a terabyte more storage, going from 512 to 1, and you're getting a faster USB-C power adapter. So this is something that a lot of people are gonna miss. The power adapters on these actually change as you go up. So this one is the slowest charging, this one is the next up, and then we've got, when we get to the 16-inch, I'll show you those. But I think the 14-inch is perfect for someone that travels a lot, but has a professional workflow. So maybe for someone that docks to their external monitor at home or at the studio, but you travel a lot and you want the portability of a 14-inch computer, this is perfect. Let's go ahead and spec out real quick this mid-tier one, and just so I can show you guys what this can come with. So you can spec this up to the M1Max chip for $200 more for the 24-core GPU, or an extra $400 for the 32-core. So you could essentially put this at the same spec as a 16-inch without having the big screen. So I love that Apple has done that this year. You can pick a smaller form factor with the 14-inch, but not lose out on any of the power. Well, almost any of it. So I believe that's a first for Apple. In the past, they always put the lower end chips in the smaller computer, but now, no, you can get the full-on M1 Max chip. But just be advised, when you get the M1 Max chip, it's a $400 upgrade. However, it jumps you up to 32 gigs of RAM and you cannot choose the 16. So if you hit this M1 Max, you cannot do 16 gigs of RAM. So just keep that in mind. So not only are you paying for the GPU, you're also paying for the RAM, which bumps this up considerably. 1 terabyte storage is average for most people these days, especially most professionals have an external storage. So 1 terabyte, maybe 2, but 4 and 8, that's pushing it. So that's for the professional that's on the go. Now, if you are in college right now, let's just say, or you're in high school and you're looking forward to something in the video editing, maybe hardcore photo editing career, maybe something with 3D work, you can opt for this lower end model here. This is no slouch at all. This is incredibly fast. The M1 chip last year was incredibly fast, and this is the M1 Pro. So this base model here is not a computer that you should be ashamed to get or be like, oh, I need to get the bigger and better one. No, this thing is crazy powerful. So if you're on a budget, you're just an average student, but you need something that's very powerful, this is the one to get. 16 gigs of memory, totally fine. 512 gig storage, that's what I'm on right now. So that's not an issue. I record 4K video all the time, and 512 has been fine. You can jump up to a better power adapter, but 20 bucks, I mean, I guess when you're spending $2,000, 20 bucks doesn't really matter. So you could add that on. That's the same price they're selling their Apple polishing cloth. But yeah, this is like the perfect dream computer for me. If I went back to university right now, this is probably the one that I would pick up if I was on a budget. I mean, $2,000 is a lot of money, but for what you're getting here, whew, this thing is crazy. Another thing to keep in mind, check out these delivery dates. They are slipping. So that's something to also think about here. You don't want to sleep on these for too long. Now, of course, they should come back down to normal 1 week deliveries, but we'll see. 16 inch, let's get to what I ordered. So 16 inch here, this is where you're talking about big boy power once you jump up to this one. Look at these prices, $2,500, $2,700, and $3,500 respectively. Now the dates are all the same for this one. They're all slipping, but as you configure them more, the dates go even worse. So let's quickly talk about these different models. These are both M1 Pro chips. They come with a 10-core CPU and 16-core GPU. Nothing changes here. The only main difference here is that this one has 1 terabyte of storage and this one's 512. So they do give you the option here, if you wanted to kind of spec it down a bit, to get a $2,500 16-inch MacBook Pro. In my opinion, when I first saw that price, I actually thought that was a good deal. Like, this is a really good deal for someone that maybe travels sometimes but doesn't necessarily dock their computer. Case in point, me. If I didn't have to edit 4K video every day, this is probably the one I would get just on a daily user basis, just because I'm kind of a heavy user. So this is aimed for someone that wants a 16-inch computer, maybe in college, on a budget. You don't need 2 terabytes of storage. 512 will get you through. This next middle tier here is really just an SSD upgrade, but we'll talk about that here in a second. But if you really want to spec one of these out, let's just select this one here. 1 terabyte's actually what I got, but not this spec. I'll show you what I got, but you already know I dropped a ton of money on this, but we're gonna have great videos coming up once we get ours. So with this one, like I said, you can go up to the M1Max on this one and you're already up to $3,500. This is basically the same as the one that I'm about to show you right here. No real difference once you spec it out. So this is the M1Max, 10-core CPU, 32-core GPU, 32 gigs of base memory, and 1 terabyte of storage. It's crazy. This is a crazy computer. So let's select it here. And there's not much to customize. Personally, for me, I got this one. I bumped it up to 64 gigs of memory because why not? And I kept it at 1 terabyte storage because that's double what I have now. That'll be perfect. But yeah, that's all you can configure here. That's $38.99. That's a lot of money. But here's a pro tip. If you're in college right now, take Apple's discount. They have a discount for these. If you go over here to Apple's education store, I will link it down below for you guys. You need to check this out. So I'm going to click order here. This is on Apple's education store. You shave like 10% off the cost or something. It's crazy. So if you're in college right now, I think that's one of the things, maybe high school. I'm not for sure on that, but definitely college. If you're a teacher, I mean, this just brings it down into highly, highly attainable ranges. $1,849 for this base model 14. I mean, come on, that is a great deal. Let's jump over to the 16 inch and it gets even better. I mean, $31.99. This one was what, $34.99 before? If we select it here, let's let it load. 64 gigs of memory. The one that I just configured was $38.99. This is $35.59. Definitely get in on this discount. I don't really know how they verify people. From what it seems to me, it seems to be on the honor system. You just kind of check a box at the end that says, I agree to the terms. I don't know how they verify. I don't know if they ever audit, if they ever check, if you're really in school or not. So you should probably play by the rules here. But I think worst case scenario, if you were caught using this and you're not in school or something, you'd probably just have to pay the difference, I would guess. I don't know. I don't know what Apple does. But when I was reading through the terms, I personally didn't see any consequences. But yeah, that's your choice. If you are in school, definitely take advantage of this. I mean, why not? It's basically getting money off of an awesome MacBook Pro. So if you're a professional, you already know what you need. If you're like me and you're just constantly editing videos for a channel or something, you have to get the best of the best. I mean, I have to review it and to use it on a daily basis. Time is money, and when you're editing videos and rendering tons of 4K footage, you really need the fastest machine you can get because, like I said, time is money. But for me, this is a business expense. If you're just an average person, buying this for a fun computer, for me personally, I can use this as a tax write-off. So, everyone's circumstances is a little bit different here. So do your due diligence, but pick one that's right for you. Now, this 32 gigs of unified memory, you might be asking, what the heck does that mean? That means that this is memory shared between everything, the CPU and the GPU. There's no separate VRAM or, video RAM in this. That's why I personally opted for the 64 gigs of memory, because if it's going to be shared, I figure why not just go all out? I mean, it's the most you can get and you can't upgrade it later. But for an average user, I mean, come on, 32 gigs, that's more than enough. I actually have 32 right now in the Mac that I'm recording this off of. I've never come close to using all of it. So just take that with a grain of salt. For most people, 16 is fine. 32 is kind of overkill. And 64 is almost definitely overkill for most people. So this has been a long rambling video, but hopefully it helped. If you have any questions about these, drop a comment below. I love helping people out with these and helping them make their decisions. But please make sure you watch this video all the way to the end before you ask questions, because I probably answered your question in it. That's all I got for this one, guys. If you liked it, hit it with a big thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.